Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today I want to share my Clionadh cosmetics collection. I do have just this one little palette, although these shadows are very expensive, so it feels like a big collection to have 16 of these shadows. I showed these previously in my Black Friday indie brand haul, and I really wanted to give you a close-up look at these shadows. These are very special shadows, special shades, and I really wanted to do a focused video to show you what these shadows look like up close. I want to do some live swatches. I also want to do a tutorial with a few of these so that you can see them in action and see what they look like actually applied to the eye. There is a huge variety of shadows on the Clionadh website. Honestly, it was a little bit overwhelming for me because there are just so many shades, there's so many finishes, and because these are so expensive, at least my perspective is that you really want to make sure you get not only shadows that you're going to like, but you want to make sure you get a good variety of things that you're really going to want to use. So that's why I want to do a very focused video, go through these shadows one by one. Hopefully I can give you some useful info if you decide you want to order from Clionadh. Also, these are very shiny, sparkly things, and I think it will be fun to play with them. That's my other reason for making this video. Let's just dive into this palette. I'll give you all the names and show you the swatches now. We're going to go through each one of these shades individually. I'm going to show you a live finger swatch and a live brush swatch, and then at the end of each row, I'm going to show you a low light version of these swatches as well. All of the brush swatches are done with a dry brush. I just use my Vermillion color switch to clean off the brush in between each swatch. That way I'm not getting any shadow transfer, but I do want to have some consistency in using that same brush over and over again. So there are no damp swatches here. I don't use any primer or anything like that. These are just the shadows straight onto my skin. Sometimes you'll see me going over and over the swatch with the brush. I'm only dipping into the shadow one time, but I'm just sort of using the brush to drag that pigment out so that you get just a larger swatch of it. And you can also see how that shadow reacts to being applied with a brush. Hopefully that makes sense. But sometimes when you just first swipe down with one swipe on the brush, it only deposits the shadow in one little spot. But if you keep going back over and over again, you can kind of drag out that swatch and it looks more uniform, but it's also just easier to see what the texture and the shade looks like on the skin. So that's why you'll see me sometimes going over with the brush more than once. But some of these shadows don't really need much of that. Sometimes they're so pigmented that you can see them swipe all the way down. So I do just want to give you a little bit of info on how I'm swatching, why I'm swatching, so that you know what to expect. If you do decide to purchase any of these, you'll know really what that performance is like on the actual skin and using these different application methods. This shadow Glimmer is a great example of why I do both finger and brush swatches, because you'll see that the brush swatch looks quite different from the finger swatch. That's not usually the case, but with some of these multichrome and iridescent type of shades, there's a certain amount of like color activation that can happen. And here you can see the brush swatch, it looks a lot more of a bluish base, whereas the finger swatch looks whiter and brighter. So I think this is a great example of why it's good to see a lot of different kinds of swatches. I also want to mention here, the Clionadh website, it can be a little bit overwhelming because they have so many different shadows. They have tons of different types of shadows. You can see the little labels I'm giving under each shadow shade here are the type of shadow, and they do a really good job on their site of describing the difference between these shadows. So while it can be a little bit overwhelming, I definitely encourage going and clicking around the Clionadh site because they actually have some well done descriptions, and they also have a wide variety of swatches for each shadow. They show them on a lot of different skin tones, and sometimes they're, just rubbed onto the fingertips. Sometimes they're really, really built up, like packed on stencil swatches. Sometimes they're swiped swatches like these. So their website is honestly, while it is kind of intimidating because there's just so much on there, they do a really good job of providing some useful information. And if you're a makeup lover, you know that's not always the case. Some brands and some websites don't do a great job of providing that type of information. So I have to say, props to Clionadh for that. Now, I'm going to give my voice a break because I have been doing tons of voiceovers and tons of filming. So I'm going to play a little background music and show you the rest of my palette, all the swatches, all the low light, everything. And then I will be back to show you a eyeshadow tutorial.
What if I told you I couldn't stay? Take me or leave me. You can still walk away. What if I told you this love won't be easy? Will you still be here? Is this real? Will you still be here? If I say how I feel, I don't wanna wake up one day and see you gone. Will you still be here? Will you still be here? What if I showed you I could change? I really hope you don't walk away. What if I showed you this love could be easy? Will you still be here? Is this real? Will you still be here? If I say how I feel, I don't wanna wake up one day and see you gone. Will you still be here? Will you still be here? Will you still be here? Na na na, na 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 na. Will you still be here? Na na na, na 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 na. Will you still be here?
So it's not gonna be really hard. We're gonna have some work at this every day, but I wanna do that because I want you. I want all of you.
Okay, I lied. I'm back with some more voiceover because look at these jeweled multichromes. I could not pass up the opportunity to rant and rave about these because, oh my gosh, just wait until you see the low light swatch. But these are so smooth, so pigmented. They are so intensely beautiful. I can't even tell you how phenomenal the texture, the shades, just everything about these, the shifts are stunning. Now, these jeweled multichromes are the most expensive. They are super, super pricey. And honestly, are they worth it? Probably, because look at that. Just look at that, how it swipes on there. I can't even tell you. This shade Rosette is mind-blowing. It's definitely one of my favorites. I can't even handle it. Look at the brush swatch. It's stunning. It is stunning. Now, all of these shadows are pretty pricey. In my opinion, I think they're pretty pricey, but just look at these. Look at the low light. I will fixate on these swatches. I don't have words for them. Just look how beautiful that is. That Rosette shade shifts from blue to purple to red to magenta. It's just the most beautiful shadow. I want to put it all over my entire face. Okay, I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to calm myself down, but I just had to take the time to express how stunning the jeweled multichromes are. Oh man, if I had $1 million, I would just buy a palette full of them. Now, here's a close-up look at my whole palette, and I also want to show you all 16 shades swatched together too, just so that you can get a feel for what the whole color story looks like. I did try to group them as closely as I could, with that last row of 4 kind of being the outliers. That way, throughout the swatches, you could sort of compare and contrast the most similar colors. But I wanted to make sure I gave you an overview look at all the shades, as well as some close-ups here so you could really see those different beautiful sparkly textures and shifts. Now I want to show you how these shadows perform on the eye. So I'm going to show you a quick little eye look, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. I'm doing a really, really simple tutorial for this one. I wanted to just let these shadows shine. So I am going to bring in one Lethal Cosmetics matte shadow, just because I do like to have a matte transition shade. And I just wanted to play around with some of my other indie brand shadows in conjunction with these Clionadh shadows. I also had to restrain myself, as you can probably tell from my palette, which is mostly purple shades, that I really had to try my hardest not to do a very purple eye look. And that is sort of my go-to, but I wanted to play with some of these other colors. And honestly, I wanted to use this shade called Bloodline. It's so, so, so pretty. It's definitely one of my top favorite shadows from my palette. So I thought it would pair really nicely with that corally shadow from Lethal Cosmetics. And I felt like I was able to pull together a nice little cohesive look while still using a lot of these really sparkly, really shifty shadows. From far away, this looks like a more basic neutral look, and then when you look up close, it has so many sparkles and shifts. It just gets more complex the more you look at it, and I love that little element of surprise with using these shadows. And also, they're just beautiful and so easy to work with. These shadows are insanely beautiful. They are so sparkly. Just touching them, you can tell how beautifully made they are. I can see why people go crazy for these shadows. I can see why they are constantly sold out. And I do see why they are as expensive as they are. The materials to make shadows like this alone, just the raw materials, are really expensive. When you add in the fact that these are being produced by a really small independent brand, I have to say they are very expensive, but I do think that they're worth the price tag. I just recommend doing a lot of research, looking at a lot of swatches, watching a lot of videos before you decide what you want to purchase. But I think that these are absolutely worth the price tag. Speaking of that, I know that my friend Angie has a discount code, so I'm going to put her code up on the screen now. There are probably a handful of other creators that have discount codes. I just know when I ordered, I used Angie's code. I'm definitely glad I took the plunge on these shadows, but I'm also glad that I waited until I could get a little bit of a discount and I could get all of the shadows that I wanted all in one order. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these shadows. Do you have any favorite shades that I didn't pick up that I need to add to my wish list for next time? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Hello, wow. The very first word. Awesome. It's going great. Pretty sure that's my family, or else my house is being broken into. Sounds like my husband. Now where was I? Huh? That didn't make sense. That didn't make sense. Try again. Wait, what? How many times have I forgotten what I was saying mid-sentence? I need more caffeine. Ooh. This eyeshadow looks different from every single different angle I look at it. And it's supremely distracting and I really like it. I mean, I don't mind that it's distracting, but I just really like how sparkly it is. And I like how from far away it just looks like very neutral and very basic, but then when you look at it up close, you're like, oh, that's just filled with multi-chrome glitters. Wow. You know, keep them on their toes. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. You are a sweet little peach, and I just love your face so much, and I will see you back here real soon. Okay, I love your face. Bye!